Shalom, shalom, peace, my people. I love you guys. I love you all, my brothers, my sisters. Greetings from Indianapolis. I'm always traveling. Now I'm in Indianapolis, loving it, and I am enjoying myself. I've been waiting to do this video roughly about 6 months. I didn't want to just jump out on a limb and speak from my emotions. I wanted to gather enough information and make sure I understood both perspectives, both sides, the side that I'm coming from and the side that, my peers are coming from, my people, because at the end of the day, we still family. We should not let anything divide us. Nothing should divide and conquer us. We're already divided and being conquered and oppressed by our enemies, by our taskmasters, those who have dominion over us. Now we are setting our own taskmasters over each other, based upon what doctrine we want to follow and what's right or wrong, old and new, Christ and David, So I'm going to dig into all of that. But if you hear like wind blowing, because it's just beautiful tonight, you know what I'm saying? And me personally, I like the way it sounds, in the background when you're doing the video or just talking and you have that nice breeze just blowing. It just lets, it just gives that feel that it's secure here. And I feel like the Almighty, Ahaya is with me. So let's talk about it. Now, what I'm speaking about specifically is we have a growing movement that's concerning to me, and I'm pretty sure to others, about David and the prophets, about denouncing and discrediting the David and the prophets, from Judges to Malachi, denouncing all of that, but from Genesis to Numbers, give credits to that. So that's what's going on right now. It's a growing following that David and the prophets are fake, and they go against the Almighty Ahaya's law and Torah, and that David is, has always been looked at as an idol figure unto the people, just like Christ is to the New Testament, keeping us into idolatry. Like now we are serving David and looking to him as, our Messiah, and and he's now a figure of idolatry, just like Christ in the New Testament. That's just the growing argument right now between Old Testament only and Old Testament only. You know what I'm saying? That don't even make sense. So I'm here to, I don't want to say dismantle, I don't want to say discredit. I'm here to put things in a proper perspective, and I want to speak to those who feel like this, that the Almighty Ahaya already knew that this was coming, so you guys doing discrediting David and the prophets, specifically David right now, making David an idol figure, is fulfilling the word, and you are proving the validity of the Almighty Ahaya in the Tanak. The Torah is stamped and sealed, it's proven, and we know that is the foundation. I would never discredit the Torah, first 5 books. I would never discredit the law. The whole book is of laws. Like Ahaya said, keep my laws, statutes, judgments, and ordinances, covenants, and testimonies. So you have testimonies throughout Genesis through Malachi. So if you don't keep those and try not to understand best as possible, you will not truly get the true essence and the understanding of the Most High and how you operate and what's going on today. Right? So I want to talk to you guys who feel that David is an idol and he should be cut off from our memory and just return only back to the Torah. So I want to start right here. Psalms chapter 89. A maskil of Ethan the Ezrahite. The Ezrahite. Verse 2. I will sing of the constant love of Ahaya forever. With my mouth I will make known your faithfulness to all generations. For I have said, the world is built by love. Your faithfulness shall you establish in the very heavens. I have made a covenant with my chosen. I have sworn to David, my servant. Your seed I will establish forever and build up your throne to all generations. Salah. And the heavens shall praise your wonders, O Ahiah, your faithfulness also in the congregation of the holy ones. For who in the sky can be compared to Ahiah? No one, right? Who among the sons of the mighty can be likened to Ahiah? No one, right? You know, Ahiah is greatly feared in the assembly of the holy ones, and held in reverence, in respect, and honor by all those who are around him. O Ahiah, power of hosts, or power of heaven's armies. Who is strong like you, O Ahiah, or to your faithfulness around you? You rule the raging of the sea. When its waves arise, you still them. You have trampled down Rahat like Carrion. You have scattered your enemies with your strong arm. The heavens are yours, the earth also is yours. You have founded the world and all that is in it. The north and the south, you have created them. Tabor and Hermon shall rejoice in your name. Now Tabor and Hermon, these are mountains, sections, areas in Yasharallah, Verse 14, you have a mighty arm, strong is your hand, Ahiah, and high is your right hand. Righteousness and justice are the foundations of your throne. Love and truth shall go before you. Happy is the people who know the joyful sound. They shall walk, O Ahiah, in the light of your countenance. In your name shall they rejoice all the day, and in your righteousness shall they be exalted. For you are the glory of their strength, our strength, Ahiah. And in your favor, our horn shall be exalted, our power, our might, shall be exalted in your name, Ahiah, in your name. For our shield belongs to Ahiah, the Holy One of Yasharallah is our King. Then you spoke in a vision to your pious one and said, I have laid help upon one who is mighty. I have exalted one chosen from thy people. I have found David my servant. With my holy oil have I anointed him. With whom my hand shall be established, my arm also shall strengthen him. The enemy shall not exact upon him, nor the son of the wickedness afflict him. And I will beat down his enemies before his face, and strike down those who hate him. But my faithfulness and my loving kindness shall be with him. And in my name shall his horn, his power, his authority, his rule shall be exalted. I will set his hand also on the sea, and his right hand on the rivers. That's how far the dominion of David extends, David shall cry to me, you are my father, my power, and the rock of my salvation. Then the highest says, also I will make David my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth. Now all of this right here is stolen. It's stolen literature, stolen doctrine, stolen. It's been plagiarized by the New Testament. This is where they get this. This is how they get it. They got it and painted and formed this figure in the New Testament to be this coming David, in the future. See, this David right here, it could be applied to the actual David, and it also can be applied to David's seed. For like Ahiah said, he will always have a seed to sit on his throne. That's Jeremiah chapter 33, and also here. So, like Ahiah is saying right here, David is firstborn. That ruffles a few feathers of some of us in Yasharala. For we have jealousy upon one another, jealousy upon the seed of David, jealousy upon the house of Yahweh, jealousy upon the tribe of Lawai, jealousy of Zadok, the 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 um the high priest who showed his devotion to Ahia when everyone else turned from him. So they want to erase his history, his story, and erase his praise that Ahia has given David and this bloodline of Zadok of the high priest, by saying that the prophets and the Tanak is fake, made up literature, and that only Torah, first 5 books of Moses, is credible. That's blasphemy. But we're gonna see why they feel like that. See, it's getting ready to rain, so I'm gonna kind of speed it up a little bit. But hey, if it rain on me, let it rain on me. All praise to Ahia. Then we go right here. Where was I at? Okay, verse 28, now verse 29. I will keep my truth with David forevermore, and my covenant shall stand fast with him. Right here. His seed also I will make to endure forever, and his throne like the days of heaven. So Ahia's covenant is not going nowhere with David. Gotta suck it up and toughen it up, because Ahia is about to point you guys out right now. But just like it says in verse 28, that Ahia has made David and his seed the firstborn. See, a lot of Yasharala have an issue with that, because Exodus chapter 4 verse 22 says that Yasharala is my son, even my firstborn. But as Ahia starts evolving, because remember, at one point in time, it was Reuben his firstborn, and it was Joseph, his firstborn. You know what I'm saying? Then goes to make a plain that it's Yasharala, the nation, is firstborn. But then it's settled here, and it has not been taken away or rewritten or changed that David is his firstborn and his seed. So this is where the stolen, plagiarized story of the New Testament comes into play. It's all plagiarized from right here. People, remember that the seed of David is in captivity with his people and shall be raised up once Ahia raised up his people from captivity, and then Ahia will raise up his high priest from Zadok and his seed of David, who will rule over Yasharala. Once we return back to our foundations, once we return back to our land, once we return back to our dominion, and things is running in the order of Ahia, the temple is built, all of that in place. Remember, the seed of David is in captivity, not in the sky, not in the ground. Thinking that David, the original David, is coming back is spiritism. Thinking that the Christ figure in the New Testament is rising from the dead is spiritism, which is idolatry and a sin. So Ahia doesn't even work with that. So I just wanted to make that plain and clear, and hopefully that's understood. And by no means I'm not trying to point at nobody. I'm just trying to speak the word. This rain feels so good right now. I feel like it's kissing me. It feels good. All right, now verse 31. Then Ahia says, if David's children forsake his Torah, his law, and do not walk in his judgment, if David's son break his statutes and do not keep the commandments, then Ahia says he will punish them for their transgression with the rod, and their iniquity with the strokes, with affliction and plagues or whatever Ahia wants to bring upon a person. But Ahia says, nevertheless, my loving kindness and mercy, right, and care and covenant, I will not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail, for he's always going to be faithful to the covenant that he made with David. He's always going to. That's why that Genesis, I believe 48, was that 49, right? where it talks about the scepter never leaving the feet of Judah until Shiloh come. Pardon me, man. Let that motorcycle pass. All right, now get it then. All right, okay, you got it. You got it. It's kind of a reference right now. This did leave from you know David's feet once. Also, Shiloh was a place in the city, and also Shiloh can be, depends how you look at it, anointed or Shiach, But that's either here or there. That's like a little snippet, kind of a bad reference right now, I will admit. It's not good in its timing, but nevertheless, it does not take away from what's being said here, from not my words and understanding, but from the Almighty Ayah. Then it says, my covenant I will not break, 35, nor alter the word which was issued from my lips. Once I have sworn by my holiness that I will not lie to my servant David. His seed, see that? His seed shall endure forever, and his throne like the sun before me. It shall shine bright. You know what I'm saying? And the sun comes up every morning. So since we always have a morning in the night, so shall this covenant with the seed of David live with the higher. That's just like, it's all in correlation with Jeremiah chapter 33. If you can take away the sun and the moon from rising at its appointed times, then you can take away the covenant that I made with David, my servant, and his seed. And also it says the Levites, but it should say the house of Zadok and the priesthood. For house of Zadok is the priesthood bloodline, and the priesthood is the Levites. So I understand why it says Levites right there, but just to put it in perspective, Ahiah has made covenants with, these two entities, David and Zadok, But verse 37, like it says, and his seed shall be forever, and his throne like the sun before me. Forever, you know what I'm saying? Keeping his word. It shall be, verse 38, it shall be established forever like the moon and like a faithful witness in heaven. Praise Salah. But you, now we get into the nitty gritty. It's talking about you who are abandoning and discrediting and turning from the covenant made with David because of the confusion and the oppressed affliction and the curses of serving idols of wood and stone has created such pressure on one to where they just want to just denounce anything in that realm of idolatry instead of just considering the words and studying and being true to the word and order and protocols of the Almighty Ahaya, like it says right here. And verse 39, but you have cast off and rejected. You have been angry with your anointed. Talking about David and the seed of David. See, you guys are angry with the anointed, the seed of David. You know what I'm saying? And, so now you want to just take everything out and, run away from the covenant and blaspheme Ahaya and disrespect Ahaya. Then it says, you have renounced the covenant of your servant. You have profaned his crown to the ground. You hear what Ahaya is saying to you. So you still want to just stay caught up in your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions that, forget the Tanak and the prophets. Forget David and the prophets. Forget Judges through Malachi. It's just all about Genesis through Numbers, right? So you just want to just be like that, huh? Come on now, let's make some sense of this, right? Come on now. Alright, man. Look what Ahaya is saying. You have broken down all his hedges. You have brought his fortress to ruin. All who pass by the way plunder him. He is a taunt to his neighbors. You have exalted the right hand of his adversaries. You have made all his enemies rejoice. Right. So, you know, those who oppress us, they loving it that you guys are like that now. Oh, they turn from the seed of David. They turn from David. Oh, we accomplished our goal. You know what I'm saying? By instituting this idol over here, creating these books over here. Now we got division between old and old. You know what I'm saying? First, it was always a division between old and new. That was kind of understandable. We're just going to go through that, pick and choose. But I don't care what division we have between one another. We should never stop loving, liking, and being there for one another. I don't care what it is, because at the end of the day, we are still Yasharala. That has not changed. That covenant has not changed with neither one of us. So just because one is this, one is that, does not mean we had to start disliking and hating each other and separating and going at each other and fighting and debating and all of that. But Ahia has a problem with you guys going against his word and now saying that his prophets and saying that his servant is now an idol. He's talking to you. Then he says, you have turned back the edge of his sword and have not made him stand in the battle. You have made his brightness cease and cast his throne down to the ground. Exactly, by trying to take away David's throne. 46, the days of his youth you have shortened. You have covered him with shame. Man, repent and consider, my people, who's discrediting David and the prophets and just saying Torah is the only credible source of written doctrine for us to follow and keep. Come on now, repent, consider. I is speaking to you. He said you guys was going to do this. Then it says, how long, Ahia, will you hide yourself forever? Shall your wrath burn like fire? Remember how short my time is, for what nothingness you have created all the sons of men. Who is the man who lives and shall not see death, and shall he save his soul from the power of the grave, Sheol? Pray, Salah. Ahia, where are your former... Hey, what's going on, brother? Ahia, where are your former oaths of loving kindness, which you swore to David, and your faithfulness? So, David's seed nowadays, just like David then, is looking forward to Ahia delivering them, because the seed of David that's in captivity with his people is going through afflictions, pains, and plagues, and going through diseases, and going through all sorts of things, and the people are shunning him. He's going through the same thing that his people is going through, because he's with them, he's among them. He's not greater than his people, definitely not in captivity. You know what I'm saying? But the people don't even consider the seed of David now. A lot of people's turning from that, so that's why the seed of David is like, where's your loving kindness? Right, raise me up, deliver me, that I may be established before you and your people, so it won't look like, I'm just a fable, a folklore, a lie, so that people can be established in truth under one roof. So, the seed is definitely speaking. Verse 51. Remember, Ahia, the grace of your servants, how I carry in my bosom the insults of all the many peoples, with which your enemies have insulted. O Ahia, with which they have insulted the footsteps of your anointed. Hear that? But I be Ahia forevermore. That should say Salah and Salah. Or so be it, or Salah and so be it. That's what it should say. Salah and so be it. Never them two right there. That's idolatry, and that's a no-no. So, well, I'm wrapping this up, and that's what I wanted to speak about. I wanted to really dig in and talk to my brothers and sisters who have left, the covenant of David, and have not considered that, and just returning to the Torah only. Torah only is never going to say that's a sin or discredit that, but you cannot take away the covenant with David and the prophets, because you must keep, once again, the law, statute, judgments, and ordinances, and also the testimonies and covenants. That's what the higher said. So all praise to my people. I love you guys. Peace, love, and higher, you forever, forevermore. Peace, y'all.